Don in London, hello. It's November the 4th. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, or both. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour around people, trying to be with the right people, in the right places, doing the right things, having the right things, all part of my addiction, trying to be perfect, or trying to be as good as I could be, and driving myself mad in the process. Insane behaviour of trying to fit in inappropriate ways, because I guess somewhere along the line I didn't feel right, I didn't feel good enough, and I found that alcohol would fix my feelings, and in fixing my feelings I became dependent and then eventually addicted to the substance, alcohol, could have been drugs, and behaviour of trying to be always in the right place, with the right people, doing the right things. These days it's quite different. I'm probably with the right people, in the right places, doing the right things, and I'm sober one day at a time, so no longer driven mad by the need and the absolute necessity to drink. And I thought I had willpower and self-will which would help me stand on my own 2 feet when I needed to, put on a brave face and have a stiff upper lip and get by and be okay and conquer the world. These days I realise that is not necessarily the way I want to live my life. These days, needs met, basic needs met, roof over my head, learning how to love, be loved back, and useful in some capacity to myself and other people means that life works well. It wasn't always like that. So, what's the difference? Well, 35 years of striving to fit in, not feeling good enough, fearful of being found out as inadequate, covering up shame and guilt about not being completely in the know about everything, and now happy to know nothing but learn about it, happy to learn how to love people daily, be loved back unconditionally, and useful. And usefulness comes in many ways. It comes in terms of family, community, society, work, career, or whatever endeavour we're involved in, if it covers and fills a need and rather than creates wants, I guess we get on track. So recovery for me, one day at a time, has been a bit of an eye-opener, an eye-opener about how life could have been and is today. Simply being open, honest and willing to face what challenges there are and see what might happen. So what might happen today? If I set my expectations to 0, I won't have any resentment. If I set my outlook to open, honest and willing to live and see what can occur, then life is bigger than I could ever make it. So from a very isolated, fearful place, which is where drink took me, I now have a very open and broad set of interests in what is going on around me. So no longer driven mad by drink and feeling like I'm missing out. I just haven't got enough time to do everything I would like to do. So I have to prioritise. And the number one priority in my life is if I am sober, then the rest of life can work and happen as it may. I'm not in control of the outcomes. I don't have power over people, places and things, nor do I wish it so. Because if I did have power over people, places and things, I would try and make the world the way I wanted it, and it would be a very selfish outlook. So I'm part of things these days, included where I may be, and probably excluded from many places, because those places, people and things out there are different to me and my outlook. So I'm finding my place gradually, day by day, where I fit and where I don't fit. and that's perfectly okay. So I'm open to looking at what's going on. I'm looking outwards and not living inwardly, on my own, isolated. And drink nearly killed me, without a doubt, and I was revived on more than one occasion. And when I look back, I can realise why and how those things happened, and hope they don't happen again. And if I look after myself and have help doing it, then I have a better way of dealing with life as it unfolds. So from being an active alcoholic on death's door to somebody who's no longer quite on death's door and no longer drinking, life seems to work one day at a time. So I had to get dry. I got professional help, got dried out, and then the professional help said you probably need some ongoing support. And if you're relying on medical services, there is limits to what people can do, and there's limits financially to what can happen. After all, it's quite expensive to stay alive and have support paid for. And if it's coming out of my pocket, I can't afford it. And if it's coming out of the taxpayer's pocket for everyone, there is not enough out there in terms of money to keep everybody sober and with enough support. There just aren't the resources to do it. So the expert said, why not try a fellowship where people seem to keep sober one day at a time? In the main they do. Some people don't keep sober. That's just the way it is, because life is just overwhelmingly difficult for them. It's not their fault. So wherever we get to with our drinking, there is a fellowship called AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, when it comes to alcohol, and other fellowships for other substances and behaviour. And what I've learned is it's the many people in fellowship who keep the one person sober a day at a time, each and every one of us, by sharing experience, strength and hope as we may. So my videos are a gateway, if you like, to understanding there is a place to find recovery, there is a place to find out how to be sober, there is a toolkit we can adopt, which doesn't mean we give anything up except drink. Indeed, what we get is our freedom of choice back, freedom not to be driven to drink, freedom not to fix our feelings in some way or other, and then cope with reality, live real life as real life is today. So AA, the Fellowship of AA, I don't represent it, never can, never will, but I can share how it's helped me over the years. Keep sober one day at a time. I can share my life story, I can share what's working for me, I can share how the 12-step program, or 12 living principles, the toolkit, if you like, helps me live my life. And I feel very fortunate, because without it, I don't know where I'd have been. I'd have no reference points anymore. I got to a place of anger, despair, desolation, and complete disappointment with myself and life. And I didn't actually blame anyone else. I just thought life had dealt me a bad set of cards, and I had failed. Indeed, I had in many respects. I'd failed to see the point, and to work out what it is to live one day at a time, to enjoy the enjoyable, and to be happy or sad as life is. And if we have a balance of both, we learn wisdom all the time about what makes us tick as people, how we can love, how we can be loved back and useful. So I share here about how the fellowship helps me. What you see in fellowship is what you get in fellowship on a day-by-day basis. Sometimes it's wonderful and feels like it's the best intervention there can be on a daily basis, and sometimes we attend and we find, well, they're all completely mad, and I don't think I got anything from that, except the fact that people were having a mad day, or a difficult day, full of gloom and despondency. But usually there's a balance of both. Some people are happy, some people are sad, some people are just about to get married, and some people are just about to expire. All of life is going on with people in fellowship, and we are a diverse and different bunch of people, everyone on their own unique, authentic path. But we do have similarities, a desire to be sober and a desire to live life once we are sober, rather than be suicidal and want never to wake up again. That's how it seemed to be for me. Anyway, I share the AA preamble here, and then share something of the readings from this book, Daily Reflections, 1 page a day, a little bit of prayer and meditation and all of that, and some of my own thoughts about where I am. So starting with the AA preamble, this is it, with a couple of words from me thrown in. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. So it's experience, strength and hope shared around a common problem and how to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking, so that's it, a desire to stop drinking. No rules, laws or regulations to govern you. And there are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. So if you have no money, you don't pay any money. If you have a little bit of money, we make a contribution, hopefully, if we so wish, to cover the rent for a room for an hour or two, tea, coffee and biscuits, and literature, and a few admin costs. So only enough is all we need. Not excess, just enough, a prudent reserve. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So whilst the fellowship is there for one reason, to help people with a desire to stop drinking find sobriety, that's the primary purpose, and share how to. Everyone in the fellowship has their own outlook, their own belief system, their own way of living life. And it's the diversity of all these things that we hear about. And some people think or feel that maybe one or two people impose their views and values on others. And of course that might be so, but the majority are there to share experience, strength and hope, and say, work out what you want to do for yourself. Here are 12 steps to offer freedom of choice today, based on what you can do in real life, as life is today. So that's as simple as it gets, but then of course we are complicated people. And there I am knocking things over. We are complicated people. We don't often know how we feel, and we don't know what we're doing with our thinking, because we do it automatically. And really what the fellowship suggests is, if we know what our emotional feelings are, emotional situation is, our mood, our feelings, and we are living in the moment, we have a better opportunity of keeping sober today. So the program, as it's suggested, is emotional and spiritual well-being, as well as we can be. So knowing our feelings and coping with reality. Spiritual being the ability to cope with reality. So we are only as good as we get in the moment of now, and we may have pearls of wisdom to share from time to time, or we develop and understand pearls of wisdom for ourselves and share about them. And some people may adopt those ideas and pearls of wisdom because they're working. But then we are able to be free to make choices, and the rest of life can happen. So 11th month, 11th step is all about prayer and meditation, and whether it's worthwhile doing it. Now all I know is we have a brain, we are conscious, and we have automatic thinking and feeling. Automatically we feel a certain way depending on our situation and surroundings, and automatically our mood is adjusted. If it's cold, we put more clothes on. If we're confused, we're looking for clarity, all that sort of thing. There are automatic responses. So we also have an inner voice going all the time, from when we wake up until we go to sleep, and even when we are asleep we're dreaming. So we don't actually switch off all the time. It's all going on inside us. The filing cabinets are being sorted at night when we're asleep, probably, or things are coming up which have disturbed us during the day. It's all going on. So step 11, where it talks about prayer meditation, it's a suggestion that if we put some conscious effort into finding out how we feel and how we're coping with what's going on, we may find a better solution. And often the better solution comes from listening rather than deciding how we want it to be. Because we don't live in isolation, we live in family, community and society. So if we don't take account of everything around us, we are not likely to get a very good outcome. We are always battling against the tide or the current. So the daily reflection for today, very much around prayer and meditation, and continuing our own self-appraisal of what's going on, is this: a daily discipline for November the 4th. When they, self-examination, meditation and prayer, are logically related and interwoven, the result is an unshakable foundation for life. So, in other words, if we reflect on our situation in a positive and conscious way, we are likely to get a better understanding of where we are and where we can go. Sounds great, but how often we wake up, automatically get out of bed, do the necessary whatever we do, present ourselves to the world and get on the bus, the train or in the car or wherever it is and just go to work or go to school or go to college or go to university or go to the local community centre or go to an early morning meeting of the fellowship. We might do those things automatically because that's our pattern of life, but are we consciously aware of how we are going to behave and where we're headed? So a bit of prayer and meditation gives us a bit of focus, outward looking and listening to the possibilities. The last 3 steps of the programme invoke God's loving discipline upon my willful nature, and it can be invoke a discipline on our conscience or our automatic desire to have everything our own way. I guess we all have a willful nature because that's the way we seem to have been made. If I devote just a few moments every night to a review of the highlights of my day, along with an acknowledgement of those aspects that didn't please me so much, I gain a personal history of myself, one that is essential to my growth or lack of it, and to ask in prayerful meditation to be relieved of those continuing shortcomings that cause me pain. And some of the shortcomings, what gives us pain is lack of faith, courage and confidence. Often it pushes us back into our fear of life, putting on a brave face, and our ego covering up shame and guilt about not being good enough, or the world not being good enough for us. Meditation and prayer also teach me the art of focusing and listening. I find that the turmoil of the day gets turned out as I pray for His will and guidance, and this is God, or simply good conscience, because we will have a good conscience if we turn it to good rather than selfish. I find that the turmoil of the day gets tuned out as I pray for His will and guidance. The practice of asking Him to help me in my strivings for perfection puts a new slant on the tedium of any day. And I guess I've stopped striving for perfection. What I strive for is, I don't know if I strive, yeah, I do strive to look at the best of what can be with what is. So it's not about perfect for me, it's about progress. Puts a new slant on the tedium of any day, because I know there is honour in any job done well. So to love, be loved and useful, the job done well, usefulness. The daily discipline of prayer meditation will keep me in fit spiritual condition, able to face whatever the day brings, without the thought of a drink. And that's true. I talk about a lot about being sober, but I don't actually talk about drink too much these days, because it doesn't occur to me as something I want to do. But I know from time to time, sometimes I do go out in the company of other people, although I might not like the idea of particularly going in a pub. I don't feel too bothered about it, but sitting in the company of people with drinks on the table does disturb me, because if I pick up the wrong glass or drink, I could accidentally slip. So I prefer not to think about those things and not to go to pubs. But it's only when it's evident at arm's length, when it's just in front of me, I think I really don't want that to be right in front of me. So I prefer to go to places where there aren't things like alcohol directly in front of me. And that's odd, really, because in the fellowship we're dealing with newcomers who've got drink inside them. And it's only unpleasant if they breathe on you. Anyway, that's just another thing. My thoughts this morning, quite a few actually. Everything happens in sobriety: birth, marriages, deaths, careers, redundancy, money, no money, belief in something and belief in nothing. Usually my needs are met and wants are forgotten. Sober, anything can happen, and in recovery we live life. In the malady of addiction we are probably the living dead. So everything happens in sobriety. It happens like normal for normal people. And what I've learned is that normal life is quite extraordinary. Now I've taken the drink out of the equation. Even what might seem quite dull to other people is quite interesting to me, because it's going on right now and I'm in the moment. I did start this video a bit earlier, and I suddenly realised my thoughts and feelings were ahead of where I am. So I had to stop, sit down, breathe, and try to get back into the moment. And the reason why that I'm struggling with that is because I'm tired. We have a mnemonic in sobriety: simply HALT, H-A-L-T, HALT meaning stop. HALT standing for hungry, angry, lonely, tired. So how am I this morning? Am I hungry? Not really. Am I angry? No. Am I lonely? No. Am I tired? Yes. Overdid it yesterday. So I know where I am. But if I were hungry, angry, lonely and tired, I'd be in danger, because then I'm losing sight of reality. I can't judge the moment too well, where I am in it. So I need to be aware of what's going on for me. And generally I am. But today fatigue is set in. Again, another one for today: appraise, pray, meditate. All part of what we do. We feel a certain way about our situation, and then we think about what to do. Fear of being open, honest and willing will lead to fearful outcomes. So if fear is driving me, I'm limiting myself, not being so open, honest and willing as I might be, and then my outcome is limited by just what I see rather than asking for help. Faith and being open, honest and willing, more likely to lead to better outcomes. Inclusion and happiness. So we don't live in excluded circumstances. We are somehow connected to the rest of the world. And if we acknowledge that and say, sometimes it's difficult, help me, or oh my God, I don't know what to do, even exclaiming that in your head, if you say it out loud, you'll probably find half a dozen people, if in a fellowship meeting, will come up to you afterwards and say, listen, come for a cup of tea and we'll have a chat about it. Or listen, I did that and I then did this. So we don't have to live in isolation anymore. We can be included and get help by sharing what's going on for us. And our inner voice speaks to us all day long. There is a voice from when we wake up to when we go to sleep, working out how we feel, how our situation is and what we are to do. Some suggest it's our conscience. If it is, life seems to work when we take account of the big picture and how we fit in it. But when self-interest rules our outlook, expectations can cause resentments, and one of the number one offenders for going back to drink is anger and resentment about life not being good enough, and we should have more of a share than what we have. So when we set our expectations to 0, that's what I do in the morning anyway, life is full of surprises and beyond those wildest dreams I used to have, like being with the right girl in the right place, married, 2.4 children, a Bentley in the driveway, a big country house, my own private aircraft, a yacht on the Caribbean, and another yacht in the Mediterranean, and on and on and on and on. All the things I don't have. But what I do have today is a reasonably good conscience working for me, seeing how I can fit in. My needs are met on a daily basis, and I can stop wanting to fix myself with a drink or material stuff, or what I would have considered the right people in the right place doing the right things. All I need is love. All you need is love. Yeah, simple as that. And it's the most freely available commodity, as long as if it's unconditional, we don't attach conditions. I'll love you if, or will you love me if I'm this way? That's not love. That's control and manipulation and power. Yet we don't know what it is until we've experienced it. And I've experienced unconditional love, peace and serenity in a fantastic number of ways, too many to mention right now. Issues related to sobriety was the key, if you like, or the starting point for the meeting last night. And it was a great meeting. The principal share made clear how important it is to share truth, be open and let people know our situation day by day. Secrets keep us stuck, no doubt about that. Faith helps us let go shame and guilt. Fear keeps us in the dark. Fear the problem, faith the solution, always, today. And I feel that's true. Courage, faith and confidence were my shortcomings. I was always driven by fear, putting on a brave face and covering up. Shame and guilt for not knowing enough. Now there's more there on my pages, but that'll be on the blog. What's important to me from last night, I know the person who was sharing, it's called the After Eights meeting. And the After Eights meeting is the person who shares at the beginning is got more than 8 years sober, and in this case, decades sober. And I encountered this person early in my recovery, and they never once undermined my opinion, even though my opinion was very, very prejudiced by a lot of drink, and still mad and insane and feeling hurt by life. And they never once criticised. And this person has never ever criticised one bit or made a judgment on me. Well, I'm sure they have. But you know what? They've only been careful and loving and made sure that they didn't undermine me in any way at all. And that's what they did. And it's very easy to set conditions, to say, I'll only help you if you are willing to go to any lengths. Well, the answer is either you're willing to find sobriety or you're not. And some days we are more willing than others. So we all have difficult days about keeping sober, because we can be hungry, angry, lonely or tired. Or we can be engaging in romance and finance, the principal offenders when it comes to relapse. But without romance and finance being part of the equation of life, what is the point of life? The good news is we get romance and finance in our lives. Sometimes we don't get enough money, but that's just the way it is. If our needs are met, our wants are usually forgotten. But when it comes to love and romance, no matter how or where we are, we can be deluded into thinking we ought to be a certain way when we're in a relationship, and we adopt different ways of behaving than we normally do. But if we actually behave the way normal is for us as we learn to be sober, the other person has a better chance of knowing the person we really are. And rather than look for the person we think they ought to be, if we actually see the person as they are, no matter what our romantic intentions or physical intentions might be, if we see the truth of now, either a relationship start or finish, sooner rather than later, but if they're destined because there is compatibility, then there is no judgment attached to much of what is going on. Mind you, we all drive each other crackers from time to time. That's the nature of life. Without any friction, there would be no frisson of romance or love. But love and romance may be quite different. unconditional love of people around us is not necessarily romantic. It's just love of people. We don't choose often, but then we need to be a bit wise about what we truthfully see in another person if a romance is about to blossom. It's very hard to be truthful, open and honest when other desires come into the equation. Just like life. So, there we are, enough for today. Daily reflections, this November 4th. A fairly tired individual, overdid it yesterday, went too far. For the right reasons, but then I need recharge my batteries carefully and gently without putting myself in further harm's way. The serenity prayer at the end of these videos is helping me in the moment of now, always, to understand I can change me and my attitudes and outlook, but I can't change you, your attitudes and outlook. So it's about the can-do. Change me, have freedom based on reality and life on life's terms. But it's not about having power over. I cannot change the world, you, and what's going on out there. I may influence it a bit, but change takes time. And I'm forever changing. So I adapt, hopefully, to life as it is today, rather than try and create havoc for myself and other people. It's a can-do mentality rather than a can't-do mentality, but also realising there's lots of things I can't do. So the serenity prayer, a meditation or reflection made in conscience or good conscience, depending on your belief system. And remember, it's the belief system which works for you. Whatever your belief system is around faith or religion or whatever it may be, as long as you have an understanding that you're not God, that's the basic one, then the rest will fall into place, hopefully. And you can say no to other people imposing their will and their stuff on you too. That's the freedom of life. To follow the path which suits you and doesn't undermine other people, or you're not trying to make people be the way you are. So to God, or in good conscience, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, for me, always, in the imperfectly perfect moment of now, and just for today.